From AccuWeather.com, this is AccuWeather Daily, a brief host-read article. It's weather news in a nutshell. Rounds of thunderstorms will roll over the top of a heat dome in the western U.S. and slide southeastward over the middle of the nation throughout the rest of this week. AccuWeather meteorologists are warning that some of these storms will be severe. The setup is a common one for severe weather on a nearly daily basis. Where the storms repeat, the risk of flash flooding will be greatest as the ground will be saturated in some cases. Now, the main threats from the storms, beyond torrential downpours and the lightning that accompanies them, will be the potential for damaging wind gusts and significant hail. As the likelihood of this severe weather batch pushes into the east Wednesday, the atmosphere will reload over the northern plains. Areas from central Montana to the Dakotas, eastern Wyoming, Nebraska, and Kansas will be at risk for severe weather during Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night. The AccuWeather local Storm Max wind gust for these storms on Wednesday is 90 miles per hour. Now, on Thursday, this newer batch of severe weather will ramp up over the Dakotas and shift farther to the east and the south over the central states, reaching western portions of Minnesota and Iowa and extending to southern Nebraska, northern and western Kansas, and northwestern Missouri. A more concentrated zone of severe thunderstorms will extend from southeastern North Dakota to much of western and northern Kansas, including the cities of Omaha and Sioux Falls. On Friday, the severe weather threat will focus a bit farther to the east over the central states. Now, Friday's severe weather threat will extend from northern Minnesota and southern and western Wisconsin to central Missouri and eastern Kansas. Omaha, Minneapolis, Kansas City, and Des Moines will all be at risk. Once again, the storms may approach Chicago later at night. Now, as the culprit for potential severe weather Friday continues to move along, the risk of severe weather may increase farther to the east over the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley Saturday. Severe thunderstorms occasionally can trigger a brief tornado. On any given day through Saturday, there will be the potential for a couple of tornadoes to be spawned in the strongest storms. Turning the focus to the tropics now, in a pattern similar to early July, an area along the southeastern coast of the U.S. is being watched closely by AccuWeather meteorologists for the next round of tropical development in the Atlantic Basin. Tropical depressions and storms tend to form close to Central America, the Caribbean, and the waters adjacent to the southern U.S. early in the hurricane season. The area that gave birth to Chantal has been under close scrutiny by AccuWeather since the middle of June. The third tropical depression of this year's Atlantic hurricane season formed last Friday and then went on to become Tropical Storm Chantal over the weekend. It formed in response to a stalled front and a weak dip in the jet stream and then moved inland earlier this week and brought some flooding rain to parts of the Carolinas. While conditions are likely to remain quiet in the tropical Atlantic for the next few days, this same zone along the southern Atlantic coast has a low chance of brewing another tropical depression or storm spanning July 15th through the 18th. Similar to what meteorologists were monitoring prior to Chantal's formation, development could take place over the northeastern Gulf instead. For the setup in mid-July, the front is weaker and the jet stream dip is not as pronounced as that of around last Friday. However, wind shear may be a bit lighter compared to earlier this month. Balancing the concerns out, there is a low chance of development. Should development take place on the Atlantic side of Florida, it may once again drift northward toward the U.S. coast. Should development occur in the Gulf side of Florida, steering breezes could guide the area of interest westward along the northern Gulf Coast. In either case, showers and thunderstorms could increase in coastal areas and adjacent waters offshore, even if a storm center fails to form. Should a center form, more substantial rain and wind with building surf would unfold. That's all for now. You can find more regional forecasts and science-based articles at AccuWeather.com. And for your local forecast at your fingertips, download the AccuWeather app. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe. I'll be back tomorrow with more from AccuWeather.